Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Master of the Universe Revelation Skeletor, part of the new Masterverse toy line. So Masterverse, if you are not yet aware, is Mattel's new 7-inch collector line of Masters of the Universe action figures, and this entire first wave, probably even beyond that, but the entire first wave is all based around the upcoming Netflix animated series, Masters of the Universe Revelation. So what we have here is a brand new Skeletor that is supposed to be based on that animation. I'm really excited to dive in here and check him out as one of my all-time favorite characters. So of course the packaging is the same as what we've seen. I've already taken a look at a few of these on my channel, but the Masterverse toy line comes in these window boxes. It's got the Masterverse logo at the top. Lots of cool little designs worked into the RuneScape on the top here. Lots of fun little Easter eggs and logos for longtime Masters of the Universe fans. And it is worth noting that this particular figure is an early sample from Mattel. So shout out to Mattel for sending this along so we can get a good look at the figure. It is worth noting that I believe this is an international box because we've got the multilingual Netflix logo up here, and we'll see that continued on the back as well. On the side of the box, you can see some gorgeous artwork of the Overlord of Evil. And as we flip around to the back, we've got even more awesome artwork there, which is all done by my longtime friend, Eamon O'Donoghue. So shout out to Eamon for getting the gig to do this really cool artwork here. Again, I'll say this. I love seeing awesome artwork on Masters of the Universe packages. I think that's essential to the toy line. And I love seeing Mattel continuing to do it with all the new stuff that they're putting out. The cross-sell along the bottom shows all 4 figures in the basic Wave 1, and one of the things about this being an international package is there's no bio for Skeletor on here. Instead, you can see there's multilingual text on the back. I imagine that the US release will have a bio because we saw that on both the Skelegod and Battlecat boxes that I've already taken a look at, and those figures came from Target because they're already out. So it might be that Mattel just sent me an international package, so time will tell on that. I've shown this in the He-Man video, but I'm going to show it again. I love that the artwork on the side gives this really great kind of bookend effect when you put all 4 figures from Wave 1 together. It's really cool seeing all of that awesome artwork lined up there. So let's go ahead and get Skeletor pulled outside of the box and get a closer look at this brand new figure. All right, we've got our Skeletor outside of the packaging. If I bring in the tape measure here, you can see that he is just shy of a full 7 inches tall. So that actually makes him a little bit shorter than He-Man, but still in that 7-inch scale. And like I discussed with the He-Man figure, the idea here is that these are based on the new animated series Revelation. So the figure does have a bit of a stylized look to it. Though I will say, even though he's got that animated look to him, I feel like he's a little off model, or that it didn't translate perfectly from what we've seen in the still shots and the trailer to the action figure so far. Specifically, I feel that way about the face. So let me go and just start there. I'll start with the face on this guy. The one thing I want to point out here is that the skull face is sort of like this bone gray color, rather than the bright yellow color that we typically see on Skeletor action figures. It kind of reminds me of the way Skeletor looked back in the 2003 Mike Young Productions animated series, because in the show, he did have more of a actual bone-colored face. But what I think is weird about that is what we saw in the new trailer for Revelation, he definitely had a yellow face. So I'm not sure why it's done this way on the toy. The teeth are a very bright white, so they really stand out on that more gray bone face. So I don't know. I think I would have preferred this to be more yellow like the other Skeletor action figures that we've had, but maybe that's just me. But what I was saying a little bit ago about how I don't feel like it translates perfectly from the show, I do feel that way here. It doesn't look exactly like what we've seen so far for the series. And the overall style is still kind of weirdly proportioned like it was with He-Man, though I do feel like it's a little bit better for Skeletor. Maybe that's just because he's supposed to be like a demonic skeleton-headed guy, so the lanky, kind of weird proportions with the smaller head work a little bit better for Skeletor than they do for He-Man. I thought the shape of the cowl was pretty interesting. You can see it comes to this really long point in the front there and kind of comes down over his face a little bit, which isn't something we typically see for Skeletor's hood. But I also do really like, I don't know if this is coming across in the lights here maybe, but there's a neat little like sculpted texture on the hood. So I do think that looks pretty nice. The armor that he's wearing is very similar to what we've seen in the past. You can see it's got that purple bat design on there. It's got the crossbones. He's got a purple belt there. So he's got 3 toes with these really long black nails, which I really like. He's also got the really long black nails on his hands there. So, you know, honestly, I do like the overall design of this. I think it's a really fun look for Skeletor in action figure form. It's really just the face. I wish it was yellow, but otherwise, I'm pretty okay with the way this guy looks overall. On the back here, you'll notice that he does have a cape. It is a cloth cape, and much like I pointed out with Skelegod, it's kind of bland. It's just like a rectangular, perfectly cut, almost like piece of felt-like material. It's not felt. You can see it's smoother on the underside, but I don't know. I don't love the way that looks. It doesn't look that fancy. I honestly am the type that prefers the plastic capes, so I wish that was just a little bit nicer, but overall, I think Skeletor looks pretty decent. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation on this guy. So that head is on that ball joint, much like we've seen for Origins. So you can see the head can easily pop on and off the figure. This also allows it to roll around, look left, look right. You've got the nice ball-like hinges at the shoulder, so the arms can go outwards, forwards, and backwards very nicely. You've got the swivels at the bicep. You got those new double joints at the elbow, the pinless joints. You got the swivel at the wrist. You got the hinges at the wrist. You got that weird kind of rock there at the torso, so it rolls all the way around. You got a standard swivel cut there at the waist. You got the hinges here at the thighs, and I pointed this out with He-Man. It's really strange because they kind of do this thing where they lock in place straight down, like they click when you pull them outwards. And sometimes it's a bit hard to straighten the leg back out. I really had that problem with the right leg on Skeletor. Like you lock it out and then it's really hard to get it back straight again on this side. So then it's just kind of stuck like this. Like there you go. You really got to like get in there and bend it back in place. So watch that, because at first when I pulled this guy out of the package, I thought his leg was broken because I couldn't get it to go back straight. And then I really kind of had to just like mess with it. It's like there's like a ratchet on the joint or something, and you really have to like get it on that notch to get the leg straight again. So otherwise, you got a swivel at the thigh cut there. You got double joints at the knees. They're very tight and sturdy. Again, pinless joints, so it should be a good range of motion there. You got swivels at the boot cut. The ankles can go up and down as well as rock side to side. I will say that the side to side movement coming inwards seems like it's hindered a little bit because it's hitting the sculpt of like his boot like cuffs there. But otherwise, it's about the same articulation that we saw with He-Man. It's more modernized for anybody who likes doing more dynamic poses, so it works out really well. And I will say that the joints do seem pretty tight on this guy. The ankles could be a little bit tighter, but they're not near as bad as what I had with Skelegod. You can see he actually stands really good. So let's go back and talk about that head again, because I mentioned that you can pop the head off the joint just like we can with Origins. So I want to quickly bring in our Origins Skeletor figure here, similar to what I did in the He-Man video if you already watched that, because I want to show you guys how that ball joint between the figures is the same size. So it is possible to take the Origins heads and put it on this body, and you can do the same thing vice versa, but I will say the results are a bit weird for Skeletor. It does not work as well. The Origins head looks way too big. The Masterverse head looks way too small. Also, the fatter neck actually does get in the way of the sculpt of the hood just a little bit, so it doesn't clip on very good, and it just looks like it's sitting way too high up on that body. It's very strange. So unfortunately, not as many customization options between swapping parts on these guys. One of the other things I wanted to try on here was swapping off the armors. Let me show you this real quick. if I bring over the Masterverse figure, I thought this was really interesting. Skeletor's armor slides right off over the neck. You could see it's a separate piece from the actual straps. Like the bones for the top part of the crossbones design are attached to this top part that just sits over his shoulders. Then the cape just has a simple hole cut out, so it slides right off the neck. And then if you wanted to, you can just pop the straps off the peg on the back here, and you can remove this just like you can typically do on the armor for Masters of the Universe figures. So since I did that, I did want to go ahead and try doing some mixing and matching. So I tried to bring over the Origins armor on this body just to see what it would look like. And aside from the fact that the colors definitely don't match with the belt and everything, because the purples are completely different, it's also way too small for this body. So much so that you can't even fasten it on the back side. You can fit the Masterverse armor on the Origins figure, but again, colors don't really match up too well on there. So again, I'm going to go ahead and bring over our Masters of the Universe Classic Skeletor. I've already got the head popped off here. Just because I want to show you guys again that while the heads are in similar size as far as the scale goes, the sockets are not the same size between the balls here. It's a smaller ball joint on the Classics figures. So unfortunately, the Classics heads will not pop on the Masterverse bodies. Now, you could probably do a little bit of work to that if you're familiar with customizing, you want to warm it up or anything like that. It probably could be doable, but out of the box, it doesn't happen. You can take the Masterverse head and put it on the Classics body. Now, it doesn't pop on because the ball socket there is too big, so it just kind of sits on the neck. However, I will say the proportions are pretty good. So if you wanted to like customize going this direction, that probably could be done if it's something you wanted to do. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the accessories, starting off with the interchangeable hands. So right now, I've got his two gripping hands on the figure. The left hand is like a standard gripping, while the right hand has got a grip, as well as the pointer finger is slightly extended, so that way you can get some expressive poses with that hand if you want to. But the good news is that both of those hands do still grip onto his weapons, which I'll show you in just a bit. But first, I do want to show you that you've got the option of removing the hand just by popping it out of the socket. You can replace the right hand if you want with a closed fist, which you can see has got the nice little thumbnail still, so it's not just shared from He-Man's. It is a separate sculpt, but it's really cool, so you can get some new poses with a fist if you want to. And then on the left, you've got the option of putting this wide open hand. Now, when we were looking at the prototypes, those were really funny looking. I was wondering why he had this big open hand. It does have some curvature to the fingers, but it's still an odd hand. I guess this is just his Beastman slapping hand. I don't know. Okay, so we got the gripping hands back on, because now I'm going to bring in his accessories, starting with the Havoc Staff, because you can't have Skeletor without the Havoc Staff. I really like the design of this particular staff. I think it's really nicely done. There's a bit of a black wash on the ram skull up here with the nice purple horns. The staff itself is also designed pretty nicely, and it's like this really cool pearlescent purple. I don't know if that's coming across in the video, but it looks really nice. Both hands grip onto this very nicely, including this one that's got the pointer finger extended. You can see you could still put it on there, and it works really well. He gets a good grip on it, and you can get some nice two-handed poses with it as well. So I definitely like the Havoc Staff here. As a bonus, he also comes with the Shaping Staff. Now, this is an artifact straight out of the original Filmation animated series. We've seen that it's making an appearance in Revelation because it's been in some still shots, and I think even in the trailer. It seems a bit shorter than the original one from Filmation. It's just molded in sort of like a yellowish gold plastic, but again, he can grip onto it with either one of his hands. So it's cool getting this extra accessory, which I'm sure is going to have some sort of importance as we've seen with the new show. Alright guys, it's comparison time, and just like with He-Man, I want to start with this massive comparison time showing all of the main Skeletor figures from all of the main Masters of the Universe toy lines throughout the years, dating all the way back to the original 82 release, New Adventures in 89, the 2002 reboot, Masters of the Universe Classics, Club Grayskull Filmation, Masters of the Universe Ultimates, the Super 7 5.5-inch Filmation style, Masters of the Universe Origins, and finally, this Masterverse figure. It's really interesting looking at all the styles lined up side by side here, kind of seeing the evolution throughout the years, though I will say, the fact that this one's face isn't yellow really stands out when he's lined up alongside all of those other Skeletor action figures. Now, I also want to focus closely on a few other comparisons there so you can really see them side by side. So let's start with the Masters of the Universe Origins Skeletor, which is the other retail line from Mattel right now. This was, of course, just released last year. It's still on store shelves right now, but this really shows you the scale and style difference between the two different retail Masters of the Universe toy lines. And since many Masters of the Universe fans are looking at Masterverse as sort of the spiritual successor to Masters of the Universe Classics, I want to throw him in here alongside that figure. This one's not too much taller. He-Man looked like he was a lot taller, but since Skeletor is a bit shorter than He-Man, he's about the same size as the Classics line. But it's still interesting to look at the style difference between these figures. And the last one I want to put them alongside is the 2002 release, just because I feel like there are a lot of parallels with the designs from the 2002 line and this current one, especially with the animation. Like, the new show feels like it's taking a lot of inspiration from the 2002 series to me personally. And I don't know if Masterverse is gonna get a Panthor, so I wanted to throw him in there with Masters of the Universe Classics Panthor to see how he stands alongside that cat, to see the scale between them. I think he sizes really well with them. I would imagine if they do one in Masterverse, they'll reuse the Battle Cat body, maybe with a new head, so he will be bigger, but this one does work pretty well if you've got him and you want to display him this way. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. That is my look at the brand new Masters of the Universe Revelation Skeletor, part of the new Masterverse toy line. Honestly, I like this one better than He-Man. It's not perfect. I like the look of this. I feel like the stylized look better suits a character like Skeletor. I do think this is off model. It doesn't look like a perfect translation from what we've seen so far for the new animated series. It kind of makes me wonder if this is one of those things where, you know how sometimes we get new action figures for upcoming movies, and then when the movie comes out, we realize that the figures don't really match what we saw on screen? Maybe that's kind of what's going on here. Maybe this is based on some preliminary work for the designs. I don't know. It's not a perfect translation, but I still feel like it's a good Skeletor action figure on its own. It's all going to be on you if you like the stylized look or not, or if you like the colors. I don't like the non-yellow face, but maybe you do. So of course, it's always going to be up to you and your personal tastes here. But design-wise, he's built really well. The joints seem tight. The articulation works pretty well, with the exception of kind of the weird hip joints there. So I got to give a very special thanks once again to the folks at Mattel who sent this along so we can get a good look at it outside of the package early. The weird thing with these is that Wave 1 basic figures, which is He-Man, Skeletor, Evelyn, and Mossman, are available first exclusively at Walmart stores, but Skelegod and Battle Cat are exclusive to Target first. But from what I'm hearing, come September, these will be open to everybody, which means you'll be able to just pre-order them online. So I think as long as you're okay with being patient, I don't think these are going to be hard to get a hold of. Fingers crossed. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video, and until next time.
The Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is available for pre-order now. This official guidebook is published by Dark Horse Books and features over 750 pages of photos and information on your favorite He-Man and She-Ra action figures. And don't miss out on the exclusive bundle pack available for pre-order now from PowerCon. This bundle includes the official guide as well as an exclusive character guide supplement that you won't be able to buy anywhere else. Don't miss out. You have the power.